So in today's video, let's talk about first development of blood vessels. So as you know that this is the optic curve, this is the inner mesenchyme, outer mesenchyme. So here surrounding the optic curve, and this is the choroidal fissure. Now, as you already know that from this inner mesenchyme, pia arachnoid matter develops, and also that from this inner mesenchyme also blood vessels develop. So therefore that this is the part of the inner mesenchyme that is going to develop into blood vessels. So therefore that as you can see here that the part of inner mesenchyme which is developing into future blood vessels, they are entering into this optic stalk. As you know that this is the optic stalk, optic curve through this choroidal fissure, and you can also notice that while going through the lens vesicle, that is that this part of inner mesenchyme forming a capsule around this lens vesicle. So therefore that I've written that is the migration of the part of the inner mesenchyme into the optic curve occurring through the choroidal fissure. Now here you can see here that initially that this choroidal fissure was open, but now you can see here that this choroidal fissure has been closed. So therefore that I have marked. So here as these 2 points, so here margins approach each other. So therefore basically closure of choroidal fissure occurs. But for labeling I have shown in this way. So here you can see there that after the closure of this choroidal fissure, you can see that around this lens vesicle vascular capsule made, and also that the part of inner mesenchyme basically which enters into this optic stalk through this choroidal fissure. So here and that, so he converted into hyaloid artery. So therefore you can notice that after the closure of this choroidal fissure, a vascular capsule and hyaloid artery developed on, and this done on the 33rd day of intrauterine life. So therefore I have written that finally on the 33rd day of intrauterine life, due to closure of choroidal fissure, so hyaloid artery form and also vascular capsule around lens vesicle form. But here, and also one thing that you must know that the development of this blood hyaloid artery and here vascular capsule, so here takes place along the development of other parts. That means as you know that this optic curve, posterior part of this optic curve will develop into retina, and the center part into iris, ciliary body, this also in choroid. All these developments will also take place. So therefore that this is the final, so therefore appearance. So therefore basically sclera formation, choroid, retina formation occurs, and this is a vitreous humor. And here, and this is the hyaloid artery, and this is the vascular capsule, and you can see here that this hyaloid artery, so he passing from the lens and going through the vitreous humor into the optic nerve part through this hyaloid canal. Now, so here this is the initial part of the fetal life. Now later in fetal life, so here this is the condition. So therefore I returned it later in fetal life. You can notice that slowly that this hyaloid, so here artery that is which was developed, it is slowly disappearing, and as a result you can notice that the, so here vascular capsule which was there around this lens vesicle was also disappearing, but only hyaloid canal remains. So therefore that I written that. So therefore initially the lens vesicle was vascular during the fetal life as it was getting blood supply from the hyaloid artery, but later in fetal life due to disappearing of the hyaloid artery, the vascular capsule around the lens vesicle damaged, and this is the region how. So here basically lens becomes avascular from vascular structure. And if you study in today's, so here basically human eye, so here in adult you can notice that this lens is avascular, not vascular. So here this is the region how this lens becomes, so here avascular from vascular because of the disappearance of the hyaloid artery. Because of the disappearing of the hyaloid artery is the main reason. So therefore that this is the so here human eye of the adult. So therefore that in adult that this lens is avascular, but so here initially in fetal life it was vascular. So this is the region. And also as I already mentioned, that is hyaloid artery also disappears, but the hyaloid canal remains, and this is the vitreous humor. And also you can notice that in normal, so here at present human eye also, so here that is in the vitreous humor also, that this hyaloid art, so hyaloid canal present, and this lens is avascular. So here and finally that this development, so here takes place along with the development of other parts also, as I mentioned. So here optic nerve is there, retina, choroid, sclera, ciliary body, ciliary iris, cornea, all these parts are there. So here in this basically development of blood vessels occurs. Now here basically you should know what happens now later. So here that these blood vessels, that is which goes here, and this part, so here becomes the blood vessels of retina, central vein of retina also, as you can notice. But that so here but the artery which is present in optic nerve stays, and this artery so here supplies blood to retina also. So but so here disappearing of hyaloid artery occurs, but only in such a manner that its lens becomes avascular, but a blood supply to this so here retina and to other body parts so here remains. So now so here let's discuss about development of the eyelids. So first of all that you should know that what are the so here structures so here involved or so here necessary for development of eyelids. So first of all that the two structures are basically, you can see here that the so here ectoderm, so here surface ectoderm lying above the cornea and below the cornea. So therefore that eyelids development occurs due to the folding of the surface ectoderm lying above and below the lens vesicle. Now here, now in the upcoming part you will be able to understand how this development occurs. But at present only the basically surface ectoderm lying above and below the cornea, they are responsible. So finally, as you can see here that this is the mesoderm also. Now here that you can see that here the overgrowth of the mesoderm occurring, and due to this overgrowth of mesoderm you can notice basically folding of ectoderm occurs. So therefore I have written that due to overgrowth of the mesoderm, the folding of the folding of ectoderm made. Now as you can see here, they basically that these folds enlarge and they are approaching towards each other. So therefore I have written that the ectodermal folds enlarge and these ectodermal folds, they are approaching towards each other. So finally you can notice that these two folds, they have approached each other and fused. And here you can notice that as a result, due to the fusion of these two folds, which the margins of these two folds is space made, that is known as conjunctival sac. And you can also notice that from this conjunctival sac, so here buds arise, and these buds, they are responsible for the so here lacrimal gland growth. So therefore I written that finally the two folds fuse with each other. As a result, a shape made due to the fusion of the two folds, and that space is known as conjunctival sac. And you can also notice that these buds which arise from a conjunctival sac, that they give rise to a lacrimal gland, and as a result lacrimal gland formation occurs. So here that's about development of eyelids. Now here development of so here nasolacrimal duct. But before discussing this nasolacrimal duct formation, you should know that this is the maxillary process and this is the lateral nasal process. You can notice that between these two processes basically a furrow is there, and that furrow is known as naso-optic furrow or nasolacrimal furrow. So therefore that I have written that naso-optic furrow lies between the junction of maxillary and lateral nasal processes. So therefore that this naso-optic furrow, they are also ectodermal in origin. So therefore you can notice that this is ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. So here this is a naso-optic furrow, and here you can see here that this so here burying of this naso-optic furrows ectoderm occurring. So therefore I have written that ectoderm of naso-optic furrow buried. And also you can notice that finally that is after the budding that is solid coat formed. So therefore I written finally due to the budding of the ectoderm of naso-optic furrow, so here solid coat formation occurs. Now so here this is a solid coat, this is the upper part and this is the lower part. So this is the lower part. You can notice that this lower part is in contact with the nasal cavity. So therefore later that this lower part so here develops into nasolacrimal duct and this upper part develops into nasolacrimal sac. So therefore I have written that due to the connection of the lower part of solid cord with the nasal cavity, it is converted into nasolacrimal duct and the upper part so here converted to nasolacrimal sac. That's all about today's video. So now some important questions. So here basically you have to know the blood vessels of eye are of which origin. So as you can notice that all these blood vessels of eye like that the blood supply to retina, choroid, they are formed due to this inner mesenchyme. So here basically that is part of inner mesenchyme developing into blood vessels. So therefore blood vessels of eye they are formed from this inner mesenchyme. So therefore all the blood vessels of eye they are of mesodermal in origin because inner mesenchyme are also mesoderm. And second point, as you can notice that here basically eyelids are formed due to the surface ectoderm lying above and below the cornea. So therefore from this surface ectoderm they are formed, so therefore eyelids they are of ectodermal in origin. And also you can notice that this nasolacrimal duct is also formed due to this budding of this ectoderm of naso-optic furrow. So therefore basically that this nasolacrimal duct is also of ectodermal in origin. So now I am going to write. So that's it about so here blood vessels of eye mesodermal in origin, eyelids ectodermal in origin and nasolacrimal duct ectodermal in origin. So that's all. So in today's video you learned about the development of blood vessels of eye and how lens becomes avascular from vascular structure and about the development of eyelids and nasolacrimal duct. So that's all about today's video and thank you for watching. Stay tuned.